right, grab your favorite pencil, and we're going to get started. The first thing you want to think about is where you want your head to be on your paper. So I'm going to start my nose right over here, on more towards the left side of my paper. I'm going to be making all of these lines pretty dark so that you guys can see them, but make sure when you're doing your pencil lines at home that you make them nice and light so that when you go over them later you don't have to worry about them showing through. Okay, so we've got our rectangle, and remember it's just like a normal rectangle and then sideways. Now I'm going to come to the left corner, not the right one, but the left, and we're going to do a slightly tilted line, and we're going to go up with that line, nice and over. Doesn't have to be perfect. We don't want it to be straight up. We don't want it to be straight going to the right, but we just want it to be kind of in the middle between those two. Now on the bottom, we want to go to the right corner, not the left one. So on the top, we went to the left corner, but on the bottom, we're going to go to the right corner of our rectangle. And we're going to bring that line. It's also going to slightly slant, but nowhere near as much as the other line. Now we're going to come to the top and make two triangles, but we're not going to connect the bottom of the triangles. Almost like making two mountains. And these, if you haven't guessed, are going to be the ears. So up, down, and the second one is just a little bit smaller than the first one. And sorry, you'll have to excuse my camera. It was jumping around a little bit, so I'm sorry about that. And then we are going to start making the horse's neckline. So we're going to come a little bit above that bottom part of the ear and make a curved line down. And don't worry if you don't like your line or you feel like it's too curved or not curved enough. You can always erase and go back in. See here, I'm just erasing. I didn't like how it connected to the ear up there at the top. Now we're going to come down to right where we ended that other line. And we're just going to make a curve. A little bit of a curved line. And it doesn't go too far down because this is the horse's neck. And then we're going to come to the middle of that line we just made, that little curved line. And we're going to make a line down that almost has little S curves on the end. And this is the horse's body. Now that we have all those major components in place, we're going to put the eyes on our horse. So a little bit past halfway, we're going to make a little hump, and then we are going to come at about that same spot, just over a bit on our horse, and we're going to make an oval. And this is the eye oval. And it's not super tiny, but it's not huge. And you can always make it bigger if you want to make your horse have more of a cute cartoony look. We are going to skip the mane for now and go straight to the nose, the muzzle area of our horse. We're going to curve. So see how I've taken that corner of our rectangle and I've just curved it. That's all I've done. And then I'm going to erase that point that's left on the end after I curved it. Now this part is a little bit tricky. It's probably the trickiest part on our horse of the drawing. I kind of curved in just a little bit with the line, went out, and then see how there's kind of a small bump down there at the bottom for the horse's mouth. And then I'm erasing the rectangle part that's on the inside. See that little bump that I made there? Then before I erase the rest of the rectangle, we're going to come in here and make the nostril shape. And it's really just a line and then like a backwards C curve. Line, backwards C curve. And the C curve does not connect back to that line. Leave it open just a little bit. And here I'm just redefining the horse's mouth and everything to where I am happy with it. And then I'm going to come in and erase the rest of the rectangle and any sort of lines that I don't like. And as you're erasing the rectangle, you might find you accidentally erase part of the curved shape of the nose and the mouth that you've made, and that's okay. Just go back over and redefine them. And then you can go in and erase the rest of that rectangle that's on the right. Now, there's one more step. We are going to make a circle. And I'm going to go, this is how I make my circles. I start with kind of that circle shape, and then I just keep going and going a few times till I have more of a nice rounded out circle. And really, all we need is this bottom part here to define the horse's jaw. And then we're going to erase the rest of that circle that we made, keeping just that bottom part. And I'm just going through and redefining the spots that I accidentally erased with my pencil. And now that you have all of these different shapes, we're going to come in. I'm going to give my horse a little bit of a white mark on its forehead, but you don't have to do this if you don't want to, and you can actually make it any shape that you want. You can make it small, you can make it big. I'm going to make it all over the horse's face, from the eyes down to almost the nose. And then for the ears, I'm just kind of going over and just curving the ear line, the lines that I made for the ears, that triangle, just a little bit. And we are done with the drawing stage. Alright, let's grab our markers. I have my black, my orange, and my brown. And we're just going to come onto the horse and start coloring. And the fun part about this is, since we're going to be using water later, you don't have to worry about coloring in the entire horse. See how I'm just going in, finding little spots here. I am going to add quite a bit of orange just so that we get a nice mix of color. And then I'm going to bring my brown in and just start defining the jaw and the bottom part of the horse's face. I'm going to leave the mouth though, because that we're going to make black. I'm just outlining the little mark that we have. Well, I guess it's not really little. The mark that I have on my horse's forehead. I'm just coming in here, adding some brown, going around the eye a little bit. And you can go ahead and just watch the placement of where I put the colors and make yours similar. It doesn't have to be exact. Just do the best that you can, and as we put the water on it later, it will all start to blend together and look really, really cool. And then I'm just putting a little bit of black for the horse's mouth down there. And we are going to do the horse's mane. So I'm just making big, long strokes, and as you can see, I'm kind of using the side of my Crayola marker. I'm just going down all the way. I'm going to add a little bit of the orange, kind of to show the sun reflecting off of the horse's coat, and add brown in. A little bit more brown and orange on the top, and then we will be ready to start painting. Alright, so grab your container of water and your brush, and we're going to start just adding water to our horse. The very first steps that I did was I went around the mark that I have on the horse's head, and I used the brown color. I just spread it out to fill in that hump where the shows where the other eye is. Then I went in here and just, as you can see when I add the water, and I'm not adding a lot, see how I'm tapping off the excess water on my paper towel. So I'm not coming in here and just dropping a bunch of water on it. I'm making sure that my paintbrush is wet, but I'm not using a ton. And really all I'm doing is just pushing those colors around. Going around the eye. And once again, I'm sorry that my camera decided to jump around a little bit. I'm pulling those colors down. This really is the fun part, you guys, watching the markers just blend into each other with the water. And see, this time I'm just going with back and forth movements, like that. And if you see spots where your marker still looks exactly like how you drew it, you can go over it a little bit more. I use kind of back and forth motion. See here, I'm going up, down, just trying to get the brown to start moving a little bit. And then once I get it to where it's starting to move and blend with the orange, then I kind of start to go in the direction of the shape of where I am on the head. Now I'm just mixing that black. And as you can see, it has this really cool gray color here. And one thing that I did find, and this could be just because my markers are older and so they're getting a little bit dried out, I'll probably have to get some more soon. I noticed that the washable ones did not actually blend as well as just the normal ones, but like I said, I think I might have had the washable ones longer, so it could just be that my particular set is drying out. Alright, we're going to get into the neck and just kind of blend those colors. And once again, I'm not using a ton of water. But one thing, if you are trying to blend your colors and you're noticing like, oh, like this isn't moving at all, then you might need to add a little bit more water. And then down here, as I start to blend this, I am going to start to add a little bit more water down here. And I'll show you a fun effect that you can get. See how I start to swirl? All I'm doing is doing circular motions, swirling the marker, swirling it around, adding quite a bit of water. See, right now I'm not dabbing on the paper towel at all. I'm just adding lots of water. See that? Adding lots of water. And then I'll show you something really cool. We're going to pick up our paper and we're going to literally add just water. See that? I'm just putting the water right on and I'm pulling little drops out like that. And you can watch the water kind of run down and collect there. See, that time I just added water. It's a fun effect that I like to add to my paintings to give them that watercolor painted look. And I'm just pulling things down. And if there's any spots that are a little too wet for your liking, you can always pick up the excess water with a paper towel or a tissue, whatever you have on hand. And then the super fun part, the horse's mane. Now, in general, when you are doing this, you want to go in the direction of the horse's mane. But when you are just activating the marker, you can kind of go back and forth with a left to right movement. Just make sure that you finish by going from top to bottom so that it's the direction that the horse's mane is going. I'm going to continue to do that all the way down here. You can see I'm pulling it out a little bit so it looks a little bit like hair, and it's bleeding a little bit into the orange and brown color on the left side. And you can, if you don't like that, you can dab it with a paper towel or a tissue like I said before, but I actually kind of like it, so I'm going to leave that. And then you can also take and dab. See how I had a little bit of excess water on the side of my mane, so I just dabbed it with a paper towel. And then if there's any areas where you look and you go, that looks a little funky, you can add some water to it and it should smooth out. Alright, I'm going to take my blow dryer. Now, you can use a blow dryer or you can just wait for it to dry naturally. Sometimes it's nice to take a break and come back to it later when it's all dry. But I'm going to speed this up and use my blow dryer. Alright, so now that the horse is dry, it's always good to check just to make sure. We are going to come back in with our black and define that nose. Now the shape is just, once again, that line and then the circle. And see how it doesn't quite connect? It's just a line and then, or not a circle, sorry, a backward C, like a half a circle. And adding just a little bit more there. I'm going to come in and add the eye. And really all it is a circle inside that eye shape that we left white. And I always leave a little circle of white inside my eye for the reflection. So see how I just left a little tiny circle of white in there. Now I'm going to come in with my brown and go just a little bit more over the top and underneath the eye because I want to define it just a little bit more. And then I'm going to add some down there, the horse's face. And I'm going to add a little bit more orange here and there. So after it dries, you can add in a little bit more of your colors if you think, oh, I think I need a little more brown. See there, I was thinking, you know what, that turned out a little bit lighter than I wanted, so I'm going to add a little more brown. And once again, I'm just going to go ahead and blend these colors out. And then the orange, which you can't see super well on the video, but I just kind of blended that right out so it had a little bit more vibrance to it. Then I went ahead and activated that color down there that we added. And I went over the nose part just a tiny, tiny bit, but not very much. Basically just touched it with the water. And then I went down there to the horse's neck again and just took that brown, made it a little bit darker, and brought it down. I let my horse dry, and then I came back in with my black marker and made a little bit of hair up by the ears coming down toward the eye. And then all I did with my paintbrush was I activated the colors, and I did kind of follow the lines that I had made a little bit to make the edges a little softer, not so harsh of lines, but really mostly what I did was just up towards the top, I really made sure that color blended together. And I brought it down just a little bit. Now I grabbed a blue and decided to give the horse a little bit of a background of a blue sky. And I started just going around with my blue markers, scribbling a whole bunch of lines here and there, bringing it really close to the face but not exactly touching because I'll spread that out with my paintbrush. Now here is where I found this blue was the washable Crayola marker, and later I'll be coming in with just a normal blue Crayola marker. And for some reason I found that the normal blue spread a little bit better than this one, but like I said, it could be again because my markers are old. So I went in and I did back and forth movements, but then also I did a lot of swirly movements, just kind of circles with my paintbrush and pushed them out all the way around. And see, when I want to get the blue close to the horse's ears and to the horse's face, I make sure not to use a ton of water. Make sure to dry them off a little bit. And then I just continue with those circle shapes, pushing that paint around, going around the nose. And that's really all I'm doing here, just going in, making the movements, trying to spread out the lines that I made a little bit better. And I bring it down to a little bit more around the nose. And you can really spread this color as much as you want. I mean, if you wanted to make the entire background of the paper blue, you could do that too. You could put blue under and outline the whole entire horse's face. Now I'm going to take my blow dryer and I'll speed this up, and you can always wait for this to dry the old-fashioned way or use a blow dryer like I am here. Now, once I was finished blow drying it, I noticed that there was still a few spots that were super wet, so I just went in and dabbed them with a paper towel, which you can do at any point while you're painting if you're ever worried that, oh no, I put too much water on my paper. You can always just dab it right off with a paper towel. And now that it is for sure dry, I'm coming in, and this is with a normal Crayola marker. And I'm adding a little bit more color here and there because I want the background to be nice and bright. And now I'm doing the exact same thing. Look how cool it is. The markers just activate and really explode on the paper with lots of color. Here I decided to push that blue out just a little bit more, using those same circular motions that I was doing before. Added just a little bit of circular lines kind of coming out. And now this is really fun. I dipped my paintbrush in the water, watch that, and now I'm rubbing it along the dark part of the horse, and then I'm just splattering it. And make sure you have a lot of water on your brush, and then basically you're rubbing it in the blue that you've already done to pick up some color, and then you're just going to tap your paintbrush, and this will give you a splatter effect. You'll probably notice in pretty much all of my paintings, well, not all, but a lot of them, I love the splatter effect, and you can always, if there's any dots that get where you don't want them to, you can remove them with a paper towel, or like I just did, just rubbing them out with my paintbrush. I added the line for the mouth with that black marker, and then I just went into the eye and kind of blended the color a little bit, and went around, kind of added just a tiny bit of black around the eye. And your painting is done! Fantastic job! The last thing you want to do is just sign your name in the bottom right hand corner. And I always like to put the date as a kind of finishing touch, and so I can look back on it and go, oh, that's when I made that. And your horse is finished. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I will see you in the next one.